What's your name?
So do you think that soup would taste good? No. Oh boy. Well listen, I brought a bunch of Army food and we're going to look at that in a little while. Okay, and we'll see what soldiers get to eat, okay? And then I brought some other things here for you to see, some things that soldiers might wear or carry with them. And I'll tell you a little bit about being in the service, maybe in the Army or the Air Force or the Navy. Now, how many have been to a zoo? You have, good. How many have ever seen a tiger in the zoo? A big tiger. How about a big, long boa constrictor snake? Did you ever go by the gorilla cage? Or where they have an orangutan? A big, huge monkey? All right. Well, listen, I got to see those things in the wild. Wow. 47 years ago today, I went in the Army. How about that? And I went to Vietnam, and I went out into the jungle for a year. A year. Every 3 months, we would get back to our encampment. We could take a shower. 3 months later, we could change clothes. 3 months later, we could get a hot meal 3 months later and sleep in a cot 3 months later. Otherwise, we had to sleep on the jungle floor with all those wild animals. And one time, we had a tiger come up, and it snuck up, and it got real close to us. And one soldier was sleeping, and that tiger went and grabbed him by the arm and started to drag him away. And that soldier woke up and slugged the tiger in the nose, and the tiger let go and ran off. And this soldier had big bite marks on his arm. Wow. How about that? And one night, this friend of mine and I are out in the jungle, and we hear some noise coming up this mountain. And it's so dark, you can't see your hand in front of your face. And we're both scared. And that noise keeps getting closer and closer coming up the side of the mountain. And we're both ready to shoot our guns. And all of a sudden, right in front of us, there's just roar! And here it was a huge black panther out in the jungle. And it got scared of us. He didn't realize we were there. How about that? Then we had a big boa constrictor one time right on the trail we were walking down. And one time in the jungle, we see somebody coming up the side of the mountain, and we're looking and looking to see if it's a good guy or a bad guy. And one of our soldiers hollered, "Halt!" And this object just jumped way up into the tree, right from standing. Here it was a big orangutan, 10 times stronger than the strongest human. Wow. So, you get to have some adventures like that in the military sometimes. Okay. Then, from within Vietnam, I talked about now, not always getting a shower and getting to change clothes. So in the military, depending upon what you do in there, you might be inconvenienced like that quite a bit. You might have to eat a lot of food that would be like stone soup, something you don't care for. So you get to travel to a lot of different countries. Being in the Army, I got to go to 17 different countries just being in the Army. Now those different countries would have different foods. Foods like I've never eaten before. Okay? And when I was your age, I was the pickiest eater in the world. So when I went in the Army, I had to learn to eat all kinds of different foods. Wow. So you get into different countries, you can try different foods, and that may be all you have to eat. You're going to have to eat those things. Yeah. So I got to eat snake, tiger steak, monkey meat. Ooh. Yeah. Where? Absolutely. In the desert. Okay? Now, when we went to Desert Storm, the only camouflage we had for the desert was for Egypt, or the Sinai. This didn't really work well where we were at, so they had to change the camouflage to fit Iraq. How about that? Then, oops, oh no, naturally. Okay, then we would wear camouflage like this in certain areas too, like the forests or the jungles. Okay? Yeah, clumsy. Good thing was just iced tea.
We'll put this up so you don't spill it again.
There's a good idea. Then I brought in some other equipment here to show you too. This would be like what we would wear in that with the suspenders and the belt and such. You'd have such things as a first aid kit, a compass, so you knew where you were going sometimes. Okay? So you had to know how to use a compass and a map so you wouldn't get lost. And who knows what this would be for? What do you think?
Gun packet.
A gun pocket or a holster. And that would hold a pistol. Now guess what? I didn't bring a pistol, did I? No. You think I'd be in trouble if I did? I think so. Then you would carry ammunition in here. Now these are empty, but you'd have a whole bunch of bullets in these. Here is a little pack, and you could carry some extra things in there. Your toothbrush, a razor. You have to have a canteen. Oh boy, without water, a flashlight. Okay, and here's my first aid pouch. Okay, and you'd open that up, and in there's a bandage. Now when you wear all this, and you have water and all the ammunition, this weighs a lot. Right now it weighs a lot and it's empty. Okay? Here is a bulletproof vest. Yeah, that weighs a ton. So all of a sudden you're putting on a lot of heavy, heavy equipment. And you need these things so you don't get hurt. We showed the stone soup helmet, and that's from World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. Here is a helmet made out of plastic, or a type of plastic. It's a Kevlar, okay? And they configure the helmets for certain things. This is an airborne helmet because it has in here a pad that fits right here and a pad back here so you don't injure your neck when you parachute. Then I brought a few things here. This is an enemy, at the time enemy, tank or tanker's helmet. And they could hook up to the radio within the tank. Okay? This is a Kevlar helmet from Iraq. It's not steel, and it's much, much thinner and lighter than ours. Okay? In Vietnam, this is what they would wear, the enemy soldiers. This is called a pith helmet. It's very, very light. It's made out of, like, I don't know, paper or whatever, kind of pressed together. So this was for them. It didn't offer any protection except from the sun. Okay? And then this is an East German helmet. Okay, and that was configured for parachute training too, with all the padding.
How do you get all these helmets?
Oh.
Did you take them from the other people?
Yeah, you're right. And
Still on.
so what's this then? What do you think? Way back there. You bet. No, you. You're turning around on me. Go ahead.
Gun?
A gun case again, or a holster, but this one you would wear here. Okay? And this was for people in tanks, so that they wouldn't catch inside of a tank. Okay? How much time do we have?
You're doing fine.
Okay. Then, let's see. I have to sneak around front. And we talked about sleeping in the jungle. This is what we had to sleep with in the jungle. Okay, it's called a poncho liner. And the neat thing with that is you could wrap this around you and it would keep the mosquitoes away. You could wrap yourself up in it and you could breathe through it, but the mosquitoes couldn't get at you. Pretty neat idea. If it got soaking wet, it would still keep you warm. How about that? And it wouldn't hold water. When it stopped raining, if you hung this up, threw it over a bush, it would dry out in about 15 minutes. Pretty neat. So everybody had to have one of these. Then we had to have special boots for special occasions. These are called jungle boots. Now, jungle boots are designed to get wet. They have little filters here where the water can get out of them. It can drain, okay? They have an insert in here that is perforated, so the water won't stay by your feet. It'll drain away from your feet and out the boot. They have a steel plate inside here in case you step on one of the booby traps that the enemy might have. Okay? And then the uppers dry out real fast also. Now, these won't work in the desert. Why not, do you think? You think about what I said is in there, Mr. Passy. It's a steel plate? That's right. Because what would happen if you walked in the desert with a steel plate under your foot?
You start sinking in the sand?
You could sink in the sand, or the steel plate will get hot.
Oh.
And you could burn your feet. So, here, this is what we wore in Desert Storm. Okay? They're a very light boot, and they would insulate your feet from the heat. okay? And a different color too, aren't they? Because if you go out to the woods, you would want to wear something like this. If you go out to the desert, like this. So here would be in the desert where it's sandy. Here would be for the jungle. Yes?
Well, the green ones, can they go like in the forest too?
Oh, sure. They can go in the forest, you bet. And then, for all the stuff you have to carry, you have this big, huge monster rucksack. And what we would do is we would put in all of our food for 2 weeks that you're going to eat, all kinds of canteens and water, all kinds of ammunition and different things like this. And this here, a lot of times, would weigh as much as you. So if you can imagine picking up one of your friends in here that weighs about the same as you, and you carry that person all day on your back. Wow, do you think soldiers have to be strong?
Yes.
So what does that tell you? For you, you want to stay strong and healthy, don't you? And that means you have to eat the right foods, you have to exercise properly, okay? Because soldiers have to be pretty strong to hold all that stuff. Then, I'm going to go through one more little thing. And my mother is here to check up on me. I'm going to ask my mother, Dorothy Noll, what this is.
It shows you were in the service. You hung it on the window.
Who hung it in the window? Mother hung this in the window because I was in the service. Okay? Now, that started in World War II. Okay? So, any family or any wife or husband whose spouse was in the service, okay, they would hang one of these in the window for every person in their family that was in the war or in the military. So if you had 2 people in the military, you'd have 2 stars. You could also get one with 3. If you had more, which a lot of families did then, you'd get another flag. So you'd have several flags. Okay? This one, my parents put in the window when I was in Vietnam, and they put it in the window when I was in, where? Desert Storm. Okay? Then, let's get to the real fun stuff. I brought a scissors, and we're going to take a look here at what's in these containers. What do you think this is? What do you think?
Food.
Food. How do you know that?
Because my dad's a staff sergeant.
Good for you. Come on up here then. And I'm going to hand you that, and you can tell us what some of that is. You think?
Spaghetti with meatballs.
All right. You want to open up or take out some of the stuff in there? Spaghetti with meatballs. How many like spaghetti? All right. Okay, where's another volunteer? There, you take a look and see what's in there. Sure. And we'll take a look at what kind of food you get in the Army, okay? Let's see what kind of surprises you have. It's just like Christmas, isn't it? Yeah. So do you want to tell people what some of those things are?
I'm guessing this is probably the meat sauce.
Right. And then you can take that and put it in this little container, and you put in just a little tiny bit of water, and you lean that up against a rock or something like that, and in about 10 minutes, this will be real hot. Okay? It's a chemical reaction to the water, and it'll heat your food. What else do you have?
Cocoa beverage power.
Cocoa beverage. Who likes hot chocolate? Oh, there you go. The heater. Crackers. Okay, look at you locked out, didn't you? Oatmeal cookie bar. Peanut butter.
Pancake.
Beverage base power.
Okay. And a spoon to eat it with. Isn't that neat? What did you, look at you lucked out too. Lucky Charms. Ooh. Wow, did you get some good stuff too? You want to tell us what you have?
Crackers.
Crackers.
Cheddar cheese pretzels.
Cheddar cheese pretzels, those are good.
Almonds.
Almonds. I like almonds.
Tropical punch. Supposed to be Kool-Aid.
Kool-Aid.
Yeah. Cheese spread.
Cheese, I like that. Good. Oh, and look at there. There's a little packet that has, where's my scissors here?
Coffee?
Back pocket.
Must be your computer.
Yeah, that is. Who knows what Tabasco sauce is? Isn't that pretty neat? Instant coffee,
I know.
matches,
Fire.
chocolate gum, salt, sugar, a towel to wipe off with, and fake cream, and most important, toilet paper. Yeah. That's the most important thing. And you sure hope there's enough. Okay? Just one, but there's a bunch of them in here. Okay? And you got,
We got rice and beans and sausage.
oh, rice with beans and sausage. Ugh. I don't know. Okay. Yeah, we did. Okay.
Mr. Noll, do they taste pretty good, or if you're hungry, they taste really
They
good?
satisfy your hunger.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, I will relate. Oh, are you going to show us too?
You got a vegetarian meal.
A vegetarian meal. Well, then I'll tell you about vegetarian meals too. There's no meat in this one. Okay?
That's like Kool-Aid. You got Kool-Aid.
Oh!
You got cheese tortellini.
Cheese tortellini. Who likes tortellini?
I don't even know what that is.
Diced peaches.
Right?
Peaches, yeah. Granola. And that's your heating bag.
Mm-hmm.
And you got one of those packs like she did
Sure.
too.
Crackers.
Crackers. Yeah, you always get crackers, huh?
Usually.
Peanut butter.
Did you get any candy? What?
A spoon.
Candy
No
is not
candy.
vegetarian.
Well, that was crazy.
No, hey, I have candy.
It's a vegetarian.
And you've got a good one? Yeah, you do. Let's see what you have.
He's got steak.
Steak!
Wow.
Whoa! All right. A heater.
Can you put it back up there?
White rice.
White rice, good.
popcorn thing, I guess.
Pound cake?
That's good.
And then,
Crackers. All right. That when you're overseas and there aren't any mess halls, cafeterias, that this is what the military gives you to eat. And are they good? Well, some things are. Some things are tolerable. But now I'll relate back to the rock soup. The rock soup. Out of boredom from eating this stuff all the time, sometimes we'd get a big pot and we'd put everything in there. All at once. The candy, the gum, the meats, the fruits, the vegetables, all of that into one big pot, heat it up, stir it up, take the hot sauce and salt and pepper and put that in there, and was that good.
You want meatballs and spaghetti?
Yeah, with the spaghetti too. So, then I brought here some medals. So sometimes when you get caught doing something you shouldn't, you might get a medal or you might get in trouble. Depends. So I brought some medals here that you can look at also. So you can touch and whatever, anything up here but the medals, okay? Just leave these medals there and just look at those. But everything else, if you want to handle or take a look at now, you're welcome to do that, okay?
Can you tell them what the medals are, Jim?
Well, this is the Silver Star. I got that in Vietnam. This is the Bronze Star. I have 3 of those. 2 from Vietnam and 1 from Desert Storm. Purple Heart, I've got 2 of those, all from Vietnam. 3 air medals. Let's see now. Got to stop and think what this one is. And I suppose I don't have the box here. Anyway, and then this one, when we went over to liberate Kuwait, this is what we got from the country of Saudi Arabia for saving Saudi Arabia too at that time. So that pretty well is, I think, sums up what we talked about. So we talked about animals, right? Wild animals out there in the jungle. We talked about equipment, different kinds of equipment here, and the reasons for why we had different things. Different colors for camouflage, different types of helmets, and then we talked about food. Okay, now let me ask you this. Of the 3 things we talked about, and we talked about going to other countries too, but of the main things we talked about, do you have any questions on any of those subjects? Adults can chime in too, yeah.
I was wondering about these cats. Did they have like something for breakfast, or you just got what you got?
That was it.
Yeah.
You
Those
could trade.
eggs.
You could trade with other people.
3 meal interchange.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever you want.
Oh boy. But you'd usually, like I say, in your rucksack, you'd have a lot of these, so you could open up a few and kind of intermix them. So, and a lot of the times you didn't know if it was breakfast at that time of the day or not, because you were going 24 hours a day. So, nobody has a question.
What kind of animals did you see in the desert?
Oh,
You said you saw some animals in Vietnam.
yeah. No, I got to ride a camel.
Oh.
they have a lot of goats and a lot of sheep in the desert, and they have nomads that stay with these animals out in the desert. Yeah. They have to put up with all the heat, lack of water, blowing sand, which is not fun. So that's what nomads do in the desert areas, raising camels, raising sheep and goats. But I did get to see a rare animal in the desert, 2 of them in fact. And they're some type of a very large eagle. They look more like a golden eagle to us. But they're a rare thing, and I had Saudi Arabian Special Forces guys that worked for me. And they, when I spotted those, they said they've lived there all their lives, they've never seen them before. How about that? So I did get to see a few rare things there, but there isn't much in the desert. And I asked, what do these animals eat? And the Saudis showed me. You had to get down by a bush that you would think was dead. Okay, it looked like, you know, just an old dead bush that should have been cut down. But if you got real close, you could see little tiny green leaves at the base. And that's what those goats and sheep and such would eat. And then I got to watch a camel race. Yeah. The Saudis raise these camels and such, and they race them like we would horses. Okay? Pretty neat? Yes?
Why did you decide to join the Army?
I didn't. I was a school teacher, my first year of teaching school, and I was drafted into the Army, and I just decided to stay with it. Okay? And no regrets. No regrets. So, interesting time.
Did you have any choice to, if you got drafted, not to go?
The only thing I could do is leave the country and never come back.
Yeah.
That's true. Or you went to prison.
Yep.
Yeah, you either went to prison or you had to leave the United States and decide never to come back. That's the way the draft works. Because when our country has to be defended, we have to do that. It's the law. It's the law. Dr. Albrecht over here was in World War II, and he was in the infantry, and he was wounded also. And he had to go in the Army in World War II. My dad had to go in the Army in World War II. Margie, your husband had to go into the military in World War II, right?
Right.
There you go. And he fought in the Battle of the Bulge, and so did Dr. Albrecht. Okay? How about that? So who else has a question? Yes.
What did they do to you if you didn't eat the food?
What would they do to you if you didn't eat it? Nothing. You would be doing it to yourself by not eating, because you wouldn't have any food to eat.
Starve.
How about that? Any other questions?
Save it for a day you want to try it again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jim, did you visit any schools or libraries like this with young children anywhere while you were in the service? In any of the foreign countries?
No, I didn't go in and talk or anything. I did in Germany. I went to German military school, and while there, and then I also had a tour with the German Army. So I did get to visit a few schools just out of pure curiosity. Europe has a different concept on education. In Germany, at the age of 16, you test. If you fail the test, you're out of school. And they place you in industry according to what attributes you have shown within your testing. So if you show that you could maybe be a good mechanic or a welder or a truck driver, they would put you into industry that way for 2 years as an apprentice. So you would learn for 2 years, just like you're going to school, except you would be focused on welding, for instance. While in Desert Storm, I was with a few of these Saudi SF guys, and we went to a restaurant. I wouldn't call it really, well, it was a restaurant. I mean, you could eat there, but it was, and in there were 2 British soldiers. And they were finishing up eating when we went in and sat down. And of course, I had my shirt on here, and they both came over and said, "Are you an American?" I said, "Yes, I am." And said, "You're British?" "Yes." And I looked at the 2 guys. One was a big man, big black-haired guy holding a little tiny submachine gun. The other guy was about that tall, little blonde guy, and he had the biggest rifle you could imagine. And I said, "Why don't you guys switch? Big gun, big guy, little gun, little gun." You know? But I asked the little fella, I said, "How old are you?" "Oh," he said, I'm 15, but I'll turn 16 next week. In England, you test out at 15. And then you get a choice, go to industry or go military. At 15. Can you imagine? Sending your kids off to war at 15 years old? No. There's a lot of sad things you see in the military too. And what has always helped me is I've always been able to pray. Okay? That's what's helped me. That's what's helped keep me strong. Okay? So it's both physical, you gotta be real strong physically, and you have to be real strong up here too, in being able to handle some of the sad things that you might see also. Okay? Yes? I'll tell you one little story then, okay? And I'm gonna have to take a mint here so my voice keeps working, being that I had my tea taken away. In Desert Storm, I was in charge of working with all the prisoners. And we would interview them, talk to them, try to figure out how to get more of them to surrender. So one day, I looked at this young man, had on the Iraqi Army uniform, and he was a prisoner. And I asked him, "How old are you?" I thought he might have been 11 or 12 years old, and he got scooped up somehow as we were taking all these prisoners. He said, "I'm 14. I said, "Are you in the Iraqi Army?" He said, "Yes." I said, "What happened? Why are you in the Iraqi Army?" He said, "The government went through parts of Baghdad, and they did this all the time, all the cities. And if that male, if that boy looked physically fit, they'd grab him, throw him in the back of the military trucks, and force him into the military, no matter how old." I said, "Do your mother and father know you're here?" "No." "Do they know what happened to you?" "No." So those parents had no idea what happened to their son at 14 years old. So you see other countries treat their people far different than what we treat us, what we treat ourselves in America. So you see some pretty bad people in different countries. Okay? So there's a sad thing. But I don't know what time you all have to go eat?
Military.
Yeah, there's military food here for you.
Help yourself.
But
Um,
did you have anything else, or?
No, I think that's probably about it. That was enough, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was very interesting.
Yes.
Did it have snakes